Here's a question you've never been asked out loud. What if your bank account has been a battlefield for over 100 years? Because in 1917, the US government figured out a psychological trick, the most powerful financial weapon ever created to get access to your money. And not through force. They didn't even raise taxes, but through morality and guilt. They monetized your morals. And Wall Street, corporations, and politicians are using the exact same trick on you today, with crypto, meme stocks, credit scores, premium cards, and loans. What you're about to see is not ancient history. It is the operating manual for the modern financial world. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, the part that will make you go, wait, we're still living in this? Because yes, we absolutely are. That exact emotional structure, different packaging. We think we're making rational financial choices, but we are running on a 100-year-old script. When the United States entered World War I, the government had a problem. A brutal, expensive, impossible problem. War isn't just soldiers and speeches. War is ships, fuel, guns, food, uniforms, logistics. And it burns money faster than any economy can naturally produce it. So the government faced a choice: raise taxes dramatically or borrow. And that's when they made a discovery that would permanently change your relationship with money. The US government needed billions of dollars, and fast. But the government was broke. Treasury Secretary William Gibbs McAdoo knew that heavily taxing the public would kill morale. So, he invented a plan. A solution not just to raise money, but to make the entire country feel morally obligated to hand it over. He called them Liberty Bonds. And the name was the first trick. But average Americans didn't buy bonds back then. Wall Street did. McAdoo had to change the culture overnight. And with the paperwork taken care of, the government sold war bonds directly to citizens, not just rich bankers, not just corporations, ordinary people, factory workers, teachers, farmers, even school children. But here's the part history books often whisper instead of shouting. Liberty loans were not sold like a financial product. They were sold like a moral test. Not, is this a good deal? But, are you a good American if you don't buy it? So, it was a loyalty test, and failing it had consequences. Now, this is where the entire world changed. The Liberty Loan formula was simple. Turn financial participation into moral participation. They wrapped debt in the flag. And once they did that, something terrifying happened. People stopped asking whether the bond was worth it and started asking, what does it say about me if I don't buy? The Liberty loans were a masterclass in mass persuasion, proving that when you wrap a financial product in patriotism, people stop acting like rational consumers and start acting like loyal subjects. The propaganda operation behind Liberty bonds was staggering in scope. 11,000 billboards. 60,000 women recruited door-to-door as bond salespeople. 4.5 million reminder cards slipped into library books. Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, the biggest celebrities of the era, touring the country holding rallies. But here's where the dark side kicks in. The posters warned Americans that German soldiers would invade US soil. Historians have noted there was virtually no realistic threat of this happening. None. The fear was manufactured to sell bonds. They didn't just need your money. They needed you to believe that giving your money was the same thing as being a good person. That's the formula. And it worked so well. Technically, Liberty loans were voluntary. But socially, they were enforced through pressure. In workplaces, bond drives became loyalty tests. In neighborhoods, they became social proof. Like, if you refused, your neighbors might paint your front door yellow to brand you a coward. And vigilantes would visit your house in the middle of the night. And churches, They got the churches. The government published a handbook, literally titled Suggestions for Liberty Loan Sermons, and mailed it to over 1,000 ministers. God was selling bonds now. If you didn't buy, you weren't just not participating. You were suspicious, unpatriotic, even pro-enemy. You were labeled a traitor, a coward. One farmer in Michigan was tarred and feathered just for questioning bond sellers at his door. This wasn't patriotism anymore. It was coercion. And that is the real invention. Not the bond, but the idea that your money is proof of your loyalty. And the crazy part? Financially, Liberty bonds were a terrible deal for the average citizen. Post-war inflation completely ate up the returns. The government locked up the middle class's wealth at a low interest rate, and the citizens smiled while they did it. That shift, from rational consumer to loyal, unquestioning subject, was the birth of the modern retail investor. Now, economically, let's move back to our present day. The results were mixed at best. Inflation hit 13 to 20%. Banks received preferential Fed loans to buy the very bonds they were selling to ordinary citizens. The people paying the price were the people buying the bonds. Sound familiar? Here's the part that should make you uncomfortable. We never stopped doing this. Let's run the playbook, side by side. The modern bond isn't always a bond. It's often a purchase, a subscription, a donation, an investment. Today we're told, buy this product to support veterans. Buy this brand to support women. Buy this to support the movement. And on social media, people invest with an identity attached. If you don't support this, you're a bad person. If you question it, you're the enemy. If you don't post about it, you don't care. That's Liberty loans, but with hashtags. Influencers sell crypto, NFTs, and investment apps, often paid by the platforms, to audiences who trust them like friends. Fear sells emergency preparedness and limited-time survival products. Fear sells protect your family insurance. Fear sells fundraising campaigns and political donations with countdown clocks. Same emotional structure, different packaging. And it's not just activism. The bank's credit cards, premium cards, don't just sell convenience. They sell identity, status, worthiness. Credit scores don't just measure risk, they measure permission. House loans don't just buy homes, they buy a future at the price of decades of obedience. Governments still sell debt. They still fund operations by issuing bonds. But now you don't feel it emotionally because it's hidden behind pension funds, your bank's investment portfolio, institutional investors, and central bank mechanisms, such as your central bank's balance sheet. The machine is the same. You just can't see it anymore. The real legacy of Liberty loans isn't history. It's the psychological blueprint. The moment society learned to link money with morality, it never went back. Because once you can make people feel like spending is proof of loyalty, you don't need to force them. They'll pressure themselves. And they'll pressure each other. In 1917, they monetized patriotism. And in 2026, the system is still doing the same thing. Only now, it doesn't need posters. It has algorithms. Liberty loans didn't disappear. They just changed clothes. They just automated the patriotism. And once you see the Liberty loan formula, wrapping a transaction in a moral identity, you will never look at an ad, a stock, or a political campaign the same way again. However, the question is, now that you know, what are you going to do differently? Don't let them paint your door yellow. If this changed how you see the world, share it with someone who needs to see it. Subscribe for the next episode, because history isn't over. It's just been rebranded.